I want to build a business to help me buy my very first plane, and I want to take you on the journey. My name is Craig. There's two important things you need to know about me. First one, I'm an entrepreneur. The second one is I'm a pilot. I almost said student pilot. I am a pilot. Just recently, I got my private pilot's license. Now that was a journey in itself. I had to do a lot of sacrifices, put a lot of things and projects to the side, to dedicate several months actually to get my license. After spending so much time on the plane, I want my own. So, what I'm going to work on and what we're going to do together is we're going to build a business to help me buy my first plane. This is going to be very interesting. All right, so how did I come up with this idea? The idea is an app that allows you to prepare and get coaching for your check ride. One, because as a student pilot, you just simply have no idea what the check ride is going to be like. You know, you hear things and you're getting asked questions by your CFI or other pilots, but you just don't know what that's going to be like, right? And you hear about something called the ACS, you might hear about something called a FAR-AIM or PHAC, and you have no idea what these things are. So you need to figure out what it is that you got wrong on your exam, what to look for, or what you might be asked in this exam. That's what this whole app idea I have is going to do. It's going to take your scores and it's going to create tools and learning plans to help you study. Now, it's not going to be the only study resource because there's a lot of like ground schools out there that already give you information, but this is just going to tell you exactly what to study and where to find it, which is most important. When you do your check ride, you don't have to know everything off the top of your head, but if you can find it, you meet the standard. I wanted to connect two different spaces, and on this journey, I was thinking about what was the process like. All right, so in order to get your private pilot license, there's a few steps. You have to go through training. You need at least 40 hours of training. What that looks like is you spend quite a few hours learning the maneuvers. After you learn the maneuvers, you start to spend a lot more time in the traffic pattern, learning how to go up, call your winds, and then coming into land. After you do that for several amount of times, you then learn how to fly the plane on your own, and then you do your first solo. First solo is done somewhere between, I'd say, 10, maybe 8 to, I'd say, 16, 18 hours. It just depends on the person, how much you fly, how frequent you're flying. It really depends, right? So after you spend so much time in the traffic pattern, you then get to solo. You solo, then you spend some hours soloing, and then you start to venture off to different airports. You get to learn how to communicate to air traffic control, different control towers, things like that. And then you start working on your cross-country flights, which are more than 50 nautical miles. So after you do your long cross-country flights, you start doing those cross-country flights by yourself. Then you have the long cross-country flights, but then you have to do these super long cross-country flights, and then you're going to do these cross-country flights by yourself. You also have to fly at night, so you have to get night current. You're going to do these long flights at night. You'll have to do like a certain amount of takeoff and landings at a night towered airport, and then you're going to put it all together and do some stage checks with your CFI to prove that you are proficient, you know what you're doing, and you're capable of being pilot in command. After that, you're also going to do some simulated hood time. So which is basically you're going to wear these glasses called foggles that only shows this much of your visibility. You can only see the panel, but you can't see outside the window. You're going to do about 3 hours of those. Then after that, you're going to do check ride prep, which is just the last stages of your training, where you prep to get prepared for your check ride. In this stage, you're just getting ready, and then you go find a DPE, you have your exam, and you go from there. The check ride is super simple. In the check ride, you do two things. You have your oral and you have your practical, where you're actually flying the plane and going through maneuvers, practicing emergencies, things like that. And it's really intimidating for a student pilot to go through that portion of your flight because you just don't know what to expect. And so for me, I spent a lot of time, using a lot of tools, studying with my CFI, but also partnering up with other students who are also in the process of getting their pilot's license. From this, I want to merge this aviation industry with my entrepreneurship abilities. We come together and we're going to work and build a project that helps me buy my first plane. So today I decided to take you guys on that journey. Now I may have cheated a little bit because I already started this project. What do we have done so far? We have the idea and the concept. We have the features done. We also kind of have the design done. Now the problem that we're running into now is we're starting to get a lot of bugs. So what I wanted to do is take you guys back through that journey show you the tools and things that I use to create this app. And then you're gonna just watch me work, watch me vibe out, and put this project together. Disclaimer: I am not a coder. I do not know how to code. I have I have entrepreneurial background, but I am not a tech person. So today we're gonna learn together. Okay, guys. So welcome back to Building a Business to Buy My First Plane. What I'm gonna do is build a business using AI to be able to buy my first plane. I was a student pilot, and now I am officially a private pilot. And I love aviation, and I want to continue my endeavors as a pilot, getting my instrument rating, commercial rating, uh, as well as maybe going up to CFI, CFII, whatever my heart desires. But I do want my own plane, and I think it's very lucrative to have your own plane because I can fly whenever I want. I could also lease it out to different flight schools. There's a really big opportunity. So what I'm going to do right now is to share with you a little bit about what I've been doing, and what is the business idea, right? So the first things first, business idea is Check Ride Coach. Check Ride Coach. Any of you out there are in the aviation space, you know what a check ride is. A check ride is essentially that big day. It is a big test day that tells you yay or nay if you become a pilot or not, or you get your rating or training or whatever it is or not. And it is really, really intimidating. It's basically a day that tests you on all the things that you've learned before. And so I want to build a companion app that helps you train and study for it. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because after all my training was finished, my instructor said, "All right, I want you to go and now go prep for your check ride." What does that mean? I have no idea what that means. And so he told me there was a few books that I need to get. I need to go get a PHAT, the Pilot Handbook for Aeronautical Knowledge. I need to get the FAR AIM, and he said I need to get an ACS. Don't know what any of these things are, but look it up. And these are books that he just told me to read and prepare for it. The only thing that I knew is that to check ride, your examiner is going to ask you questions that you got wrong in your written test. Now, the bad thing is, I got a 77. So that means we were going to be doing a lot of talking. And so what I did, I worked with other students, but I also grabbed my book and I started with the things I didn't know, right? And so I went on different platforms to search things up. I transcribed all my key terms, our keywords or the codes to transcribe what these things meant, these topics meant. And then based on those topics, I did my best to study. And then I went through the ACS page by page to basically prepare myself for the day of the check ride because you can use your materials, right? And that's what the examiner is going to tell you. All the materials that you have to use are at your ready discretion. The thing is, he or she doesn't want you to overuse them. So what I decided to do was create a tool that is going to help you prepare and train for your check ride. Well, the oral part anyway, like the flying portion, that's all on your CFI training plane. The oral part, we over here got you. And the app is going to be called Check Ride Coach. And so there's a few things that I've done already to kind of get us a little far. I put together a pitch deck. Um, I also put together a graphic that kind of breaks down what the app is going to look like, as you can see here. And there's a few things I've also did. I put together a document basically analyzing the whole market. I also put an end-to-end product description. We have a master page plan, but I have to make some changes. Now we have to make some changes for a few reasons. We have to make some changes for a few reasons because as I began to build out this app, it doesn't work the way that I wanted it to work. And I then noticed that the MVP that I had in mind isn't going to be the MVP that I have to deploy. What it is going to have to be is going to be another variation, a version that it's paid for. And so I have to break this thing down to the simplest form in order for me to be able to get something out to the market efficiently and quickly. So what I'm going to do right now, starting over, is break down all the things that I did to prep for my check ride, and then we're going to start working backwards to kind of restructure the app. And I'm going to show you how the app works and things like that, show you all the bugs. We're going to restructure it to get back. Actually, I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so boom, here's Check Ride Coach. This is what it looks like. But I need to restructure it so that it communicates a different way, and more so takes you on a journey opposed to just giving you information, studying on your own, and you doing a free for all. So I need to create some type of structure here, right? So the first thing that we had was the voice coach, which I thought was a pretty cool tool, but it's not working the way I want it to work, right? So let's say we want to focus on these topics. I'm going to click select and then I'm going to start. Yes, I am. I'm ready when you are. Let's go. Okay. So, um, I don't remember. I think there is Class Charlie, Alpha, Bravo, Delta, and Echo. Does that sound right? You see what I'm saying? Okay, so boom. This was working better than I had it tried before. So I'm actually pretty impressed that it was able to give me a response. It didn't work how I wanted it to work before, but now it's getting closer to that. So maybe we can still add this feature because when I tell you it was getting dragged trying to build this thing out, we were getting dragged. So I do like that. That's how it's supposed to sound, flow, because I want you to be able to have conversations with the app that allow you to kind of prepare you for like what a check ride is like. Um, the other portion is resources, right? And so I'm telling you, you know, what resources you need to bring uh, for your check ride. You must bring physical copies of the ACS, FAR AIM. You should bring a sectional chart, and you need to bring a PHAC to your check ride. Private Pilot ACS, FAR AIM, PHAC, highly recommended. And then these links refer to you where you should go. Also, charts, preferences, so section of chart, chart supplement, weight and balance calculator, and then quick resources, PFR minimums, emergency procedures, flight plan. These are some reference cards that I'm going to give to help, you know, the person or the student work with this. Okay, so boom. After that, we got some AI assistance, and so this is where person can ask any question. They search it up. They can ask any question or type any question, and then it is going to kick out the answer. Um, right now, it's working a little too slow, a lot slower than I want it to work, but that's totally okay. So before conducting a flight, a pilot must ensure that they have the following documents on the aircraft: pilot certificate, medical certificate, government issue ID, aircraft registration, airworthiness certificate, operating limitations, weight and balance, and then maintenance records. All right, and so this is basically what you have, what you should have. But I need to I need to continue to feed this machine so that it's a little bit more educated in like the aviation space. Now I love that it pulls out the file. I need to train it on how I want the responses to go. So first I want it to say you know, if there's a memory aid for what they should remember, I want that memory aid to go first. So, for example, this is Aero, airworthiness certificate, registration, radio, operating handbook, and then weight and balance. These are things that you need before any flight, and so the machine needs to be able to communicate that. So one, I need to tell it if we have any in your responses, if there's any memory aids that can assist the student for remembering, you need to communicate that. Second, you need to give them the answer. And third, you need to tell them exactly where they can find it in the PHAC. And if they need more information, you need to give them more information, right? Cool. So that's everything that we have here and what the assistant is going to do. And then we're going to we have the missed codes, right? And so this is where you take the private pilot exam. I got a 77, the written exam. I got a 77. You plug in your codes in here. So you should be able to manage your codes, but I keep having this problem. It's not like referencing the codes that I missed. And I tried to fix this problem so many times, right? So maybe you guys have some recommendations or know what to tell me on how to fix this. So those are the three main resources, the four main resources or things about the app. And then you got the home dashboard. Now the home dashboard was a lot more manageable and easy to use. And as of recent, it just got super chaotic. The most important thing is having your check ride data up here, your progress on where you've been. You should be able to tell you what you need to study or how much you need to study today, what's recommended, high priority. Then it also has study plan overview. It has today's study plan. It also has minimum priority. It also has low weekly priority. It also has ACS Learning Dashboard. It has recommendations. It has too much. And so we need to figure out how we're going to minimize all of this, condense it, and then be able to give it to the student in a much more visually appealing way. So that means we're going to do a few things. We're going to either chat with Lovable and communicate, hey, it's way too much stuff here. What's the most important things you think our user would need? They would probably need when their check ride date is. They need to know where their progress is on studying and being check ride prepped, and that what that means. We also need to go over what they studied, what's recommended to go over next, and things like that, right? And then they should be able to come in here and go in the learner dashboard and go through some flashcards. So the other thing that I'm having is I don't want it to keep doing this. I don't want it to keep every time we come here it says the same thing, right? So we have a few bugs and we have to fix it, and we will. And this will be a really dope and cool app. But what I have to do but I need to think through what exactly were the things that were most important to me when I was studying for my check ride. This is just something we want this app just to be something super simple, effective, and something that can help us, right? So, what do we need? We need to be able to ask questions first. Before all of that, decode our miscodes, right? We need to be able to ask questions to get effective answers. We need to be able to have a mock or simulated check ride. We need to be able to have a countdown to when our check ride is. We also need to be able to manage and track the progress of our studying. Um, Decode our miscodes, ask questions to get effective answers. That's not the right effective. Effective answers. We need a Marco simulated check ride. We need a countdown for our check ride, and we need to manage and track our progress, the progress of our study. And I think that is the simplest, most basic form. Now, for us and for just thinking future here, we also need to be able to produce this to two different versions. So we need to be able to have it user availability from consumer, and then also business side, which is flight schools. So we want this to be we want to be able to not only sell this to people one by one off, like King School, Shepherd Air, like Sporties, but we also want to be able to interconnect with the flight schools, and so the flight schools can actually manage the progress of their students, and we can probably add additional bonus features and stuff like that in the future. So these are the main things, and I guess one by one we are going to go and we're going to start fixing these problems until they're solved. Let's figure out what is the low hanging fruit, and that we can start today. The low hanging fruit here is getting effective answers from our Q&A, our AI coach. Okay, boom. So down here, let's talk about it. So for our AI coach, it gives us a lot of information. It gives us good information. Let's start here. And I'm going to move myself out the way. All right. So the AI assistant, it gives us good answers, but it can be too much information. So we needed to restructure. We need to restructure the response. Um, any question that is given to us, we want to first be given a memory aid and how to remember it. For example, we have arrow, we have a tomato flames, we have flaps, aviates, things like that are things that should be given first. Okay, so these are a few examples to name. I also want to know where to find it in the FAR aim. I also want to know where to find it in the PHAT. We want simple but detailed responses, right? So it gives good answers, but it can be too much information. So we need to restructure the response. Any question given, I want there to be simple yet detailed, responses. So answer the question. I also want us to first be given a memory aid and how to remember. For example, aviates, a tomato flames, flaps are a few examples. I want you to know where to find it in the latest version of the FAR aim. We also need to know where to find it in the PHAC. And then if the user wants more information, provide an option to give further and deeper detail. give them an option. For further and deeper detail. And let's go back to Lovable and see if that covers everything. All right, so yeah. So if I ask what documents are required for a flight, um, this is cool because it's technically not just aero and stuff like that because these documents and then these. But a better question would be how do you know a plane is airworthy before a flight? Okay, so boom. To determine if an aircraft is airworthy before a flight, you should go through the pre-flight inspection, ensure the compliance is key, and here are primary steps: airworthiness certificate, registration, maintenance requirements, and then pre-flight inspection, weight and balance, require equipment, and then pilot requirements. All right, so boom. This is all good information. But there's nothing here for me to be able to remember this for my check route. So we need to be able to put information like that. And I'm also going to go here and say the response time is too slow. Boom. So we have what they're doing good, telling them what they're doing wrong, and what they can improve. We also telling them what we want it to do, and we also know that where we want to find it, and we also want to give them the option to go deeper in detail and get more information. Now, me personally, I think what we have is okay. It just can be presented in a better way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this information, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to take it over back to Lovable. And me and Lovable is going to have a conversation, and I'm going to ask Lovable, what can it do to make, based on these recommendations, to make the AI assistant more effective? Okay? Cool. Let's do that. All right. Now, the most important thing with Lovable is we're going to select chat, because if you don't tell Lovable that you just want to chat, this thing will start coding and change everything. Okay? All right, send that bad boy off. Now let's see what Lovable does and gives us. Okay, so I understand you want to improve the AI functionality to make the response more structured, faster, and aviation focused. Let us first examine the current improvements and understand where you're working. Boom, boom, boom. So it's going through here and looking. And so I'm going through here, the quick AI search and looking. Okay, so boom. Current issues. So just returns raw text without proper format, with 1,000 max tokens, which can be slow. No memory aids, missing amount of devices and memory teaching, missing references to. Well, it has that. It doesn't. It's not missing that. So the new structure include for PHAB. All right, progressive information on your quick answer, memory aid, reference, and then expand for more detail. Boom. I like that because we don't need everything all at once. Sometimes you're just looking for something. Landing, checklist. Okay, these are not right. And that's why you have to constantly train this thing. And so on the back end, another other things that I'm doing is I have full documents that basically it, just me going over just conversations I may have had, different tools I may have used, but also, talking with my instructor, right? I recorded our sessions. Now I have information that I can feed the machine. And so this is all great. The most important thing, I also want this to always cross reference with an AI machine like ChatGPT. So I'm going to add that too. Some of those memory aids are not correct at all. I don't even know where gumps are. So yeah, I'm just throw this in there. Let me read the rest of it though. All right, so boom. Then I put also remember we are connecting ChatGPT to this app for a reason. Please, can you explain to me how they're working together? Then we can start the plan. Whew. And this is coding, folks. This is vibe coding. Boom, there we go. Aviates required for inspections. That is correct. Flaps before landing checklist. Um, mm, that's not correct. These aren't correct. Well, actually, this that is correct, but that is correct. But that's we don't use flaps for this. So flaps are used for something else. I believe flaps are from nighttime requirements, not this. Night vehicle requirements. Boom. Anti-collision lights. Yeah, that's correct. So fuses, landing lights, anti-collision lights, positioning lights, and source of electricity or source of power. Right. Um, well, okay, looks good. And see, this pays off to actually know the industry, know the space, and this is why we are building a business to help buy our first plane. Structural response, ChatGPT will program with aviation specific prompts, answer Myriad Boom, Myriad database system will include all aviation documents. So ChatGPT Boom, Tier 1, quick response, detail, smart contact, aviation awareness. Okay, that's crazy. Okay, this looks correct. Now I'm thinking because we are connected with ChatGPT means, which means we need to use um, less tokens. Um, so we can probably we probably want to use one response instead of two, but I think this is okay because most times people aren't looking for the super detailed answer; they just need something to answer right away. And yeah, I think this will be fine. And because we also get each tokens also count for like the key, the characters and stuff that are used in the responses. So this would be great. Okay, so it just broke down the plan that it has. All right, and for the most part, this looks good. Phase one, um, back end system implementation and structure. And then phase two is a front end restructure quick component. All right, implement plan. All right, guys. So we're back, and let's see if it fixed it all. And so what it's saying is, it fixed everything on the back end and the front end. It redesigned the response with color codes. So quick answers, blue, prominent. Memory aid card is yellow. Reference, are green, and then practical tips are purple with bullets and points. And then advanced feature respond caching, so automatic caching for repeating question, um, show detail button, progressive learning, etc. For the most part, this looks good to me. And so, what was the question that I asked earlier? So, what do I need to make sure a plane is airworthy before flight? Okay, so to ensure the aircraft is airworthy before a flight, um, airrow, provide required documents which air, complete pre-flight inspection, check all the maintenance, update, presentment, and opera, and confirm no discrepancies. It must be determined that the aircraft is safe for flight and your own assessment. Okay, memory aid arrow helps you remember requirement documents. It does, but it doesn't tell me. It tell me what arrow is. It doesn't tell me what arrow is, so we have a problem. So now I got to go back and say, hey, I just tested it out. I actually don't like what you gave me. You need to give me full, detailed answers. If you give me a memory aid, because I don't know what that is. I also think all these colors are a bit much. I'm just looking at the practical tips. Practical tips: physically check the aero documents in the aircraft, review aircraft maintenance logs for recent inspections, that's correct, and then conduct a thorough pre-flight inspection, including equipment checks per tomato flames and squawk before the flight. Squawk any squawks before flight. Okay, cool. That's okay. I think the references should be in the answers, but the answers probably should be a little more detailed. Yeah, yeah. I think this is okay. I think this is okay. Now I'm thinking about how I will look. Ask the question. Boom. If there's a memory aid that'll help me remember it, references where I can find specifics, and I can look for that, and I can tab it out, and then practical tips. Yeah, these are good things for sure. We're gonna have a little chat, and I think this is okay. We're gonna try another question. Yeah, this looks good. This is exactly how I would like it. Yep. Okay, and then lastly, whenever you have a long list, just make sure you put it in bullet points so it's easy to read. Now, as we continue to use this platform, we'll find better ways to communicate what we need. It's taking a little bit longer than I wanted to take with you guys, but All right. Boom. Now this is exactly what we want to look for. Now this should be there should be a space between the last bullet point and the next paragraph, but this is fine. I'll go back and do that on my own. So for the most part, we have checked off uh, ask questions to get effective answers. We're gonna put that AI assistant, and I'm just gonna check that off. Boom. Easy to use dashboard. Okay, so the next thing, next time we come back, we're probably going to start working on the the mock and simulated check ride. And so we're going to work on how that sounds. I'm also going to add some documents that I started putting together so to feed it to the AI, so that it understands and have references of how I want the responses to be. But we're going to probably start working on that, fix those bugs, and come back so we have two major things working for the MVP. I appreciate you guys being on this journey with me. I'm excited to continue to work and use AI to build a business to buy my first plane. First plane. I just got my pilot license, working on my instrument rating, and I'm ready to build something else to buy my first plane. I also run a marketing agency. I'm an adjunct professor, so I'm juggling a lot of different things. So this is going to be a project that I get to share with you. So if you will, would love for you to join me and be a part of this journey. Until next time, have a good one.